Today, Massachusetts announced that amusement parks can reopen. Finally. Effective May 10th, all outdoor amusement parks and water parks in the state of Massachusetts can reopen, which of course includes Six Flags New England, New England's largest amusement park. In this video, I will discuss what policies we can expect from Six Flags New England through the 2021 season. Six Flags New England has been unable to open as an amusement park since the COVID-19 pandemic started. All amusement parks in the United States were closed for much of April and May of 2020, but a majority of parks started reopening that June and July with capacity limits, social distancing, and masking. But a few states banned amusement parks from opening at all in 2020, and Massachusetts was one of them. As states like California and Illinois started giving permission for amusement parks to reopen, there was a notable exception: Massachusetts. The Bay State was the only state in the United States still barring amusement and water parks from reopening until today's announcement. Massachusetts has had some of the strictest restrictions during the pandemic. Face coverings were required any time you were on the street or in a public place unless you were eating or drinking. Even if you were alone in a field, by the letter of the law, you were required to have a face mask or risk being fined. And for the most part, compliance has been very strong across the state. As Massachusetts started allowing businesses to reopen with face masks and distancing, amusement parks were one of the notable exceptions. Despite how other states had proven spacious outdoor amusement parks like Six Flags New England could operate with face masks, distancing, and increased sanitation, Massachusetts would not budge and allow parks to reopen. I did not agree with the decision, but thankfully there were other states nearby with amusement parks available to Massachusetts residents throughout 2020. But as more Massachusetts residents got vaccinated, the state is now allowing outdoor amusement and water parks to reopen anytime after May 10, 2021. Upon reopening, these parks can open at 50% capacity. And today's announcement was also accompanied by an update to the Massachusetts mask requirements. Effective April 30th, face masks are not required while outside and socially distant. Several states had this policy in 2020, as did several amusement parks such as Holiday World. However, Six Flags adopted a universal masking policy at their dry parks regardless of what the state's masking policy was. Face masks were required at all times unless you were eating, drinking, or in a mask relaxation zone. Masks likely would not be required in the water park, and masks especially will not be required on water slides or in pools. But you likely won't need them either walking around Hurricane Harbor. That was the policy that Six Flags had at their water parks throughout 2020 and in 2021. Recently, Cedar Fair announced that masks would no longer be required at Cedar Point and Kings Island as long as you're outdoors and are able to maintain distance from other guests. Whether Six Flags adopts this policy at some of their parks in 2021 has yet to be seen, but I expect Six Flags New England will err on the side of caution and require masks at all times inside the park unless you're actively eating or drinking. I also expect time reservations to be required for entry into the park. Outdoor amusement parks are reopening at 50% capacity. Six Flags now requires reservations for all their parks, which can be booked online in advance or the day of if there's still capacity. When all the Six Flags parks reopened, the reservations were for specific times. You could arrive anytime after your reservation, but not before. Some of the Six Flags parks have relaxed the timed entry component of the reservation, but I expect Six Flags New England to again err on the side of caution and implement the timed entry reservations. I've noticed these have remained in states with the strictest COVID measures. When each Six Flags park has reopened, they started by skipping rows in between riders on the roller coasters and other rides. As 2020 progressed, Six Flags started adding plexiglass dividers in the station and loading all rows on a majority of rides. I suspect Six Flags New England will again take the cautious approach and skip rows in between parties when they originally open all rides. This is what we have seen at Six Flags Magic Mountain, Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and Six Flags Great America, all of which recently reopened in 2021 after being closed following the pandemic. I expect most rides will begin loading all rows as the year progresses, much like we saw at Great Adventure last year, and as COVID numbers continue to drop. But until then, expect ride lines to move slower than normal. There will also likely be sanitation breaks that will slow down dispatches as well. There are arguments why some of these policies may not be necessary, and I don't want the comments section of this video to become a political discussion. I support whatever policies Six Flags New England needs to implement in order to get permission to reopen and stay open. After seeing the park closed all year in 2020, I will happily wait however long needed to get back on favorites like Superman and Wicked Cyclone. It's likely there will also be a handful of attractions that will not operate in 2021. This was confirmed by Six Flags as a budget-saving measure. This was seen in their parks that were able to open in 2020. And Six Flags New England has confirmed that Goliath, the park's problematic giant inverted boomerang, will remain closed in 2021, and its long-term future is very much in doubt considering how much downtime that attraction suffers from due to both weather and maintenance issues. I could also see something like Blizzard River being closed because it has a high operating cost, and water rides were a common ride closure at the other Six Flags parks in 2020. One ride that we know will be open in 2021 is Supergirl. The park confirmed their new for 2021 ride will still be opening this year. However, we don't know when. It could open with the park, or it could have a separate opening later in the season. I'm leaning towards the latter. This Zamperla Endeavor will look great in Kryptonite's old spot, and it should be one of the park's better flat rides with its high Gs and fast inversions. Six Flags New England is currently open as the Dinosaurs Walkthrough Experience. This event is slated to run through May 23rd on weekends. This event was not supposed to have any rides operating per the state's rules. As a result, I expect Six Flags New England will reopen fully with rides beginning the following weekend, either on May 28th or May 29th, but stay tuned for an official announcement from the park. It is very much possible they will soft open a few rides during the dinosaur walkthrough, or open sooner with rides if they choose to. While 2021 is likely to look a lot different than other seasons for Six Flags New England, at least the park received confirmation they can open in 2021 and have a season. This means they can begin preparing the park and hiring staff. And that goes the same for all the other amusement and water parks in Massachusetts, such as Edaville, USA, and Water Wizz. Yes, that's an actual name for a water park. It's a bit harder to predict how these parks will reopen because they're independent ones, as opposed to being part of a chain like Six Flags. But I suspect many of these parks will operate with the policies seen at the Six Flags parks just to err on the side of caution. The last part of Massachusetts' announcement today is that indoor water parks such as the Great Wolf Lodge can reopen effective August 1st. On this day, all capacity limits and restrictions will be lifted for all industries, which means Six Flags New England and the state's other parks can operate at 100% capacity if they so choose. Ultimately, I am very excited I will be able to visit the amusement and water parks in my home state again this year, and I hope they are able to rebound well after a lost year. These parks need the business, and they will be doing everything possible to ensure you can have a fun time while also staying safe. I hope you can stay tuned for more updates as the parks reopen here at Canobie Coaster. Thanks for watching.